YouTube, Uncle Lucky here, and welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Cuisinart. Today's review, the one I've been waiting for so long to give you guys, the one himself, Doctor Strange. Been anxiously biting my lip to get to issue 4, which came out today. And with issue 4, I got home as fast as I could, read the hell out of it, and I am now ready to do my review. So this is the review of Doctor Strange, issues 1 through 4. So let's start off with story. Story here is excellent. It's something that kind of, it grabs you, and you're not quite sure where it's going to go, because a lot of people, with the first couple of pages that were put up on the internet back in October, thought that this might be more of a comic relief type book, and it's so far from that you have to scratch the surface. And when you scratch the surface with the Doctor Strange character in this situation, he comes off almost in a comical manner, but he's anything but comical. So once you got past the first 2 issues, you really start to realize that deep down there's a lot of story and there's a lot of strange, dark things going on here that aren't comical at all, really. So the story, without being too much of a nutshell into 4 months of this comic book, is that strange things are happening with magic. Now in the magic universe, it surrounds us and it binds us and it penetrates us. But in the Marvel Doctor Strange being able to go from realm to realm through time and space and all things like that, all of a sudden he's starting to realize that he's losing his powers. Doctor Strange's powers are starting to fizzle. He needs them at a certain time and they kind of give up on him, and he realizes it very quickly that he's losing his magic. And it's a strange phenomenon because it's never really happened to him this way before. So you start to dig deeper into what this character has got going on for him. Arrogant doctor that he was before he became the Sorcerer Supreme. He was an arrogant person, self-centered completely. He wasn't evil by any means. He was just a bad person. He was just not very nice to anybody. Had his own agenda. But after becoming Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, he brings himself into being the hero, being the nice guy, being very compassionate, and that's brought out very well in this comic book. Again, I say you scratch the surface because it almost seems comical, a comic book story being funny, but it's not. You realize that the Doctor is very compassionate about what he does. He saves kids who are being possessed, and he can't bring himself to really hurt magical, mystical creatures that are coming into the Earth realm. It's an interesting way that they've presented it. He's got a funny way about him, but it's anything but comical. He can't really bring himself to hurt things like slugs. Perfect example. In the story, he's being attacked by slugs from another realm, and they're nasty little critters, and they survive off of chewing on magic. They eat magic essence. He's being attacked and they're about to kill him. Not maliciously, they're just hungry. He goes through this big thing about how bad he feels about having to hurt a couple of them, but he's got to save his own life to save the rest of them. Same side of that coin being that he also has a very, very dark side to him. When asked what he did with some creatures that he had helped a little girl that was being possessed, the parents asked what did he do with the creatures that he pulled out of the little girl, and he says kind of with a smirk that he put him in the local prison in the area where they keep the child molesters. So it's got a lot of dark parts to it, that underbelly is just there. And now we're going to talk about the art, because the art is brilliant. When I first saw the pictures that they put on the internet back in October of some of the sketches and some of the artwork that was going to be in the comic book, I wasn't actually too sure about it. I kind of took a step back. Wasn't sure if I was really going to like it, but it is really good. The art and the ink just meld so well. They've captured what the Doctor used to be in the 60s with the psychedelic and the colors in the background, all the weird things that were going on. They captured it, but they don't overly use it and saturate the entire comic book with it. It's in the background, and they have this really neat way of taking it to the edges of all the paper. They take it to the edges, and you can just see different things if you really concentrate going around the comic book itself on almost every page. They've done a really good job of keeping your focal point moving from left to right. Never once that I remember reading the comic book that I was looking around going, you know, where am I going with this? How is this happening? My focal point was always captured very well from left to right. It's beautiful. The colors just, they're almost muted and dulled, but at the same time they have a very, very crisp pop to them, the way the heavy dark outlines are around all the characters. The art is just phenomenal. It's beautiful, and I can't talk enough about it. Honestly, if I had a pick for comic book, if I was going to do a roundup, you know, my top 5 comic books of 2015 or whatever, which I'm not going to do, but Doctor Strange is number 1. Which is funny because it came in so late. The comic book started in October, and we're now into January with number 4. It's just good. There's very few comic books, and don't take this the wrong way, you read a comic book for the enjoyment. You read a comic book, sometimes you put it away, you don't see it for a couple of years, you pull it out every now and then and look at it. I can honestly say with the first issue and the second one that I've read all of them probably 3 or 4 times just in the last couple of weeks. I've continued to go back and read them. That is how much I'm enjoying it. I think Marvel's really, really hit it out of the park with this iteration of Doctor Strange, because he's had some ups and downs over the years. It's interesting for Doctor Strange because he's always been a primary character in the Marvel universe, but he's never been so primary that he's held a position of being a comic book like The Amazing Spider-Man or some of the others like Iron Man, who've gone into issue 200, 300, 400. He never had that staple. He's only had 3 or 4 real long runs, and even those long runs only ended up being 80, 90 issues. So hopefully they can keep this momentum going and have a really good long run with this character, because he's really good. And the movie should back that up, hopefully, here this year. So that's been our review. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.